At the beginning of 2024, I took on the challenge of dedicating an entire year to learning how to paint and sculpt. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't have a roadmap, but I knew one thing for sure. My goal is to turn these two mediums into a new art career. So I made a promise to myself to spend a year focused only on learning so that I could create art good enough to sell in 2025. Was it worth it? What did I learn? And should you do the same? Before I go any further, allow me to introduce myself and give you a little backstory as to how I got here, since this is my very first video on my brand new YouTube channel. My name is Charli, and before I started this year-long journey, I was working as a conceptual fine art photographer. If you don't know what that is, it's a style of photography that uses imagination and symbolism and storytelling to create a visual representation of an idea. And whether it was luck or something else entirely, I somehow found success in this medium. I was selling my art and exhibiting in galleries, teaching workshops and doing commissions. And it was around 3 years in that I relocated from the Gold Coast in Queensland down to Sydney to be with my now husband. And when I got here, I quickly realized that I no longer had access to the farmland and wide open fields that I would typically create my art in unless I traveled for like an hour outside of the city. So I kind of lost motivation and I stopped doing it for a while, like 2 years. And when I tried to pick it back up, I no longer enjoyed it. I was forcing it. So ultimately I decided to quit and I was back to square one with my art career. That was around August of 2023. And I started playing around with paint and clay to see if I liked that. And by the end of 2023, watercolour and ceramic clay is what stuck and what I enjoyed, leading me to dedicate my entire 2024 to learning. Now that you're up to date on my life story, let's actually chat about my year of learning. Was it worth it? Straight off the bat, I can say that yes, it absolutely was worth it. Disappearing from the online world and giving myself the space to just focus on improving my skills without the pressure to create content for social media or run my small business was very freeing. At first, I did try sharing bits of my learning process to social media, but I found that I was just getting too overwhelmed. I also found that I was comparing myself to other artists who had been honing their skills for years and years and wondering why my art did not look as good. It was very deflating, so I stopped going on social media so much, and for the last 3 years of 2024, I actually completely deleted Instagram off my phone. I had a complete social media detox. As was to be expected, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were plenty of days where I felt like I wasn't improving at all, or if it's even possible, getting worse. Just the other week, I messaged my friend saying I feel like I've forgotten how to paint. I think the hardest part is just pushing through that self-doubt and carrying on no matter what, because the truth of it is progress isn't always visible in the moment. One thing that I did find really helpful was to regularly go back and look at my old work in comparison to where I was in that moment. Super encouraging. If you ever feel like you're not improving, go look at your old work and trust me, you'll realize that you are growing more than you thought. What did I learn? Well, I learned a lot. My main takeaways from this can be summed up in 3 lessons. Lesson number 1, bad art is just a part of the process and there is no escaping it. If you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, I just want to be really good already. But I got news for you, my friend. The only way to get good is to make a whole lot of really bad art. Some of my first paintings and sculptures were pretty awful, and the fact of the matter is, we need to practice and hone and nurture those skills. There is no shortcut, and the sooner you understand that and just start, the sooner you will master the practice. Lesson number 2, inspiration comes from doing. Turns out that sitting around and waiting for inspiration to strike does not work, at least not for me. The more I created, the more inspired I became, and this was a huge lesson because I spent the better part of 2 years in what I called a creative block, sitting around and waiting for inspiration, and what an absolute waste of time that was. If you are ever feeling blocked, please go and make something anyway, even if it's absolute garbage. Do not sit around and waste your time waiting for inspiration to strike. Lesson number 3, patience is an underrated and necessary art skill. I've always considered myself to be a fast learner, which is great for me because I'm incredibly impatient. And as my impatient mind would have it, I expected to see results and be really good instantly. It just doesn't work like that. This was really hard, and whether I liked it or not, I had to get comfortable with the fact that I was running a marathon, not a sprint. Patience is an absolute necessity in art, and it is a skill that I am working on every day and will probably be working on every day for the rest of my life. So if you're impatient like me, take a step back, take a deep breath, and just let things unfold at their own pace. And refer back to lesson 1. Should you do the same? If there is one thing I would tell someone wanting to start their creative journey, it is this: just start. Start before you feel ready, because growth, my friend, happens in the process and not a single moment before it. I guarantee you will have something to gain by focusing solely on learning and improving your skills in your chosen medium without any pressure from yourself or external forces like social media or running a business. And if you're watching this thinking, I want to learn, but I don't know if I can, trust me, you can. Perhaps what you create at first won't be a masterpiece. In fact, I guarantee it probably won't. But who cares? You don't have to show it to anyone. I'm going to show you where I started and where I'm at now as proof that taking time to practice and hone your skills truly does work. This is where I started. Right here. This is one of my very first watercolor paintings. And this is where I'm at right now. Looking at both these paintings, I can see that I have improved so much. If I can do it, you can do it too. By the way, in my next video, I'm going to be sharing the process for how I created this piece of art. So if you would like to see that, please do stick around. So where am I now? We're 4 months into the year and I am definitely still learning and honing my skills. I never expected to master them within a year. I know that kind of thing takes many, many years. However, I am feeling confident enough now in my skills and in the art that I'm creating that I can focus on turning my art into a profitable business. This year I'm trialing a new method for selling my art where I'm doing 4 collection launches throughout 2025. I had my first one in February and I sold 2 sculptures, which was amazing. I haven't sold a painting yet, but I know that that will happen eventually. My next launch is coming up in May, so I've been super busy and focused on creating the artwork for that collection. In saying that, if you enjoyed this video and would like to follow along on my creative journey, I would love for you to stick around. I'm going to be uploading regular videos of my art journey, including my watercolor and sculpture process, and building my art business from the ground up, and everything in between. I hope you have an amazing week and I will speak to you in the next one. Bye for now.